Right, hello, good morning from Philippines. Well, I say it's a good morning, but not for me and Bernadette. We've put in for a visa to come to the UK. This is our fourth attempt. I went for the tourist visa. The first three attempts, I was a bit dubious, a bit naive on the first attempt. I just filled out what I could and put it in, thinking there's going to be no problem. Second one, I invested in a business, so because she was refused on, there's not enough evidence that she would come back to the Philippines. So I invested in a business, and so she could have some money. That didn't work out right, but we took photographs of the business, the contract, and submitted all that with I put money in the bank. And she was refused again on grounds that she would not come back to the Philippines. Third attempt, I submitted more forms. They said there wasn't enough evidence that she had any family in the Philippines that she would want to come back. So anyway, I got pictures of her family, her son, pictures that we've been on days out when I'm over here, and more money in her bank because we had to have a certain level, and because you have to afford to be able to pay for yourself or whatever. So that was refused on grounds that she wouldn't return to the Philippines. So anyway, I came over last year, May, June 2024, sole purpose of getting married, because we've been together for 4 years now, really, but the last year together in this country, but together, a long distance relationship, and I used to come over as much as I could afford, which last year I did 2 trips, but I had to go without wages for 2 months to come over here. So this time I came over December 2nd, 2024. We was moved into a rented bungalow on a subdivision, which is like a small estate. It's got a couple of swimming pools and amenities, basketball courts and things like that. And she liked it, so there was a house come up for sale, 2-bedroom. It was a bit of a rundown house, and we managed to buy that. And in March 19th, March 19th, 2025, we got married. That was a big game. That's another video on itself, the amount of forms and running around you have to do. But we did it, and we're married. We got a marriage certificate. We've got a house with deeds. I had a bank account printout, and I even got that notarized. I had pictures of my car, scooter, with backup documents of the land transport registry documents, and we put it in. We was quite hopeful. Oh, and I also had a letter from my daughter saying that she put us up for the time that we'd be in the UK. And one of the reasons why I wanted to go in the UK is to introduce my wife to my family, and also I had a letter from Musgrove Park Hospital in Taunton that I had to go back for an X-ray because I had a operation on my jaw with a cyst growing on it. It was actually eating my bottom jaw away, and it actually made a hole through the bottom of the jaw. It was about 30 mil in diameter. Hold on, my wife is coming back, so I'll tell her to be quiet. Right, here we go again. Bernadette's come down and she's doing Zumba, so hopefully you won't be hearing too much of the noise unless she's watching her videos. I think she's watching her videos. But we will hear some background noise. But anyway, yes, what was I saying now? We put in all the documents. Had a letter from my daughter saying that she'd be putting us up and I had an invitation from the Musgrove Park Hospital because about 5 years ago I had a cyst growing inside on my jaw. It had actually gone right way through my jaw, and it's a very rare thing, so I'm lucky. And so I had to go in for an operation. The first surgeon was a butcher. He took the cyst out. He ground away my bone to make about a 40 mil hole because he says, "Oh, we got to get the roots out of this cyst so it won't come back." I was in hospital again shortly. Oh, I was in bed for a week because of this operation, because I was taking maximum dose of paracetamol, maximum dose of ibuprofen, having some water, going to sleep, and I was in bed for a week because the pain is just like having toothache in every single tooth in your head. It was, I don't know whether I got a high pain threshold or not, but I can put up with aches and pains. I've had achy legs all my life, and I got arthritis now, which I put up with. I just do things and put up with it. But I had to go back in the hospital, and they slipped me open again under general anaesthetic, and they found a piece of tooth and a piece of bone that wasn't cleaned out, so that caused an infection. So they washed me out, and that's one thing. I didn't get any antibiotics coming out of the hospital to start on my first operation, but I had once it got infected, which to me is the way the UK is going. Nobody thinks anymore. Oh, it's beyond my job remit, you know. It wasn't up to me to give him antibiotics. But anyway, I had an infection, and that was very painful for a while. Then it got infected again. So I had to go into hospital, have another operation under general anaesthetic. So you're there while they slit you open, washed out again, and more antibiotics. That worked, and I was cleared for about a year. I had to go in and have an X-ray. I think the first year was I cleared. The second year, thing came back again, and I went to see the same surgeon, and he says he was going to have to cut a segment of my jaw away, which terrified me, to be honest, because I says, "Oh, you're going to put something in there to support my face?" "Oh no, you just have a bit of a droopy face." So anyway, I went in for another operation, and I convinced myself that was it. That was the end of my life. But I had another surgeon, and he says, "Oh no, we're not going to do that. We're going to slit you out, remove the cyst, and put it in surgical ribbon soaked in chemicals, surgical chemicals or whatever." I had to have that taken out and washed twice in a period of about 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And it worked. But 3 years later, I've been having spots around the area, and that's how it started. So I got worried. I had an email from Musgrove Park Hospital saying they wanted a check-up to see how I'm getting on because of the reoccurrence of this cyst. And they just wanted to give me an X-ray to make sure it's gone. But I felt that I might need another operation. So we put into this visa, and I put in that I needed to go to the UK for this X-ray and a possible operation. And that was another thing I submitted, the email, documentation supporting that. What else did I put in? Oh, I put pictures of the house and the deeds. I think I've said that. I had to scan every single page on Bernadette's passport, because that's what you got to do now. It's a new thing, even if they're blank. So that was 21 scans of 42 pages. And what else did we submit? I was meant to have my laptop in front of me so I could see all this stuff. And so we submitted it. She went along for her biometrics and photographs, and we got an answer this morning, which probably is about 6 days later, which is quick. And we were nervous. We wasn't going to look at it until later, but I said to Bernadette, if I see it, and it's a refusal. I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm going to be fretting all day, or all night, and I'm going to be grumpy as hell the next day. So anyway, I'm just going to pop along and get my list of things that I've sorted out today to moan about, because I have spent upwards of £800 trying to get my wife over to the UK to meet my family. We do not want to live in the UK. She has, because I can't own property over here, she has a £6 million house that we're living in now. And they refused on grounds that she might not, well, they don't believe she'll come back to the Philippines. And I'm thinking, why? And what they've said is that she's not working and she hasn't got any finances on her own. Well, she's got money in the bank, but I let them see how much money I got. So you would have thought that they'd look at the marriage certificate and say, oh, they're a couple. And all I wanted to do was bring my wife over to meet my family, have a checkup, which would be a peace of mind for me. I don't want to live in the UK. I've seen what's going on the YouTube channels, the riots, the way the government are treating people at the moment. It's absolutely disgusting. I think if I was over there, I would be in trouble by now, because that prick that's in charge, I keep saying he's Max Headroom. He's just like a robot. He's like, it's ridiculous. I don't know whether you young people, if you, any young people watching this video, but look up Max Headroom. He's just like an electronic thing that had a glitch now and again. You know, every time I see Starmer, I just want to touch him off straight away. And when I do watch him, it's like there's no emotion, nothing. And he's a judge. He's used to having his own way. He's a typical judge. Or what I say goes. And he's ruining the UK. So anyway, I'm going to put in for a Shenzhen visa now. Bernadette wants to meet my ex-wife for some reason. She says, oh, she looked after you for a long time and she wants to see France. And when I'm over there, I'm going to try and get into the UK. Simple as that. You know, I've paid taxes all my life. I've worked 47 years of my life. Paid taxes, sometimes a lot of tax as well when I was earning good money. And I'm getting treated like this. I can't bring my wife to see my kids and grandkids. It's absolutely disgusting. I'm honest and I do things honestly, and that's how honest people are treated in the UK. So I'm going to really go to France and see if I can check my passport in the sea and come over on a boat. This just makes me so angry. You know, the UK is getting thousands of illegal immigrants that people don't know who they are into the country every week, month, or whatever it is. The numbers you hear on YouTube, sometimes it's up to nearly 1,000 a day. And they're getting treated better than the UK citizens. I struggled like nobody's business in the last couple of years of being in the UK. I was helping to support Bernadette and I was earning enough just to pay my bills. What a life that is. And I don't know whether I could afford to be in the UK now. And on that note, I'm going to just give you a few prices on coming over to the Philippines and tell you a little bit about my life over here now. So don't go away. Right, here it is. My little list is not in any order whatsoever, but I just put down my thoughts. Actually, fourth time of trying for a visa. We've been together for 4 years. We've got no intentions of ever living in the UK, especially at the moment. And they're penalising honest people. We have a house that's worth 6 to 6.5 million. I had a notarized bank statement, car, bike, and registration and everything, and they still refuse us. I am absolutely off. You know, and it's exactly the same refusal letter almost word for word that we've had every single time. It's just not worth trying to get into the UK legally that I can see. And anyway, the benefits of living in Cebu, that's where we are, but in the Philippines. I have got a prolapse disc and arthritis in my back. My prolapse disc I did when I was 28. I picked up a barrel of soil, I had decent clothes, and I tried to hold it away from me. Squirted out all the fluid out of one of my discs. So I've got 2 half-size discs and 1 completely flat. And it's caused no end of pain in my life. My right leg was numb for 6 months. Couldn't feel my backside. And over here, and I got arthritis in my wrists. So over here, I sold my Harley 2 years ago. I went out for a ride in February, and within 20 minutes, I found it very difficult to pull the levers in. It's a huge bit of metal that was, but I loved it. And over here, I wish I got it now because I can ride. I'm riding the scooter. I've got my car, like I say, and very little pain in my hands. And I've been over here since December last year, and I just started to have a bit of twinge in my back because it's rainy season over here, so we have scorching hot days, and then in the evening it clouds over and we have some of the best storms I've ever been in, really loud, and rain hammering down, and I'm bouncing off the floor, you know what I mean, being in the UK. But anyway, the benefits of living in the Philippines. Me and Bernadette can go out for a couple of meals with a couple of drinks, and it's good food. Where we go to what we call the cheap place. It's run by an Aussie, and there's an Indian and Italian right next to, and it's very, very similar prices. We can have 2 meals. I have pie, chips and gravy, or chicken curry, or sometimes I go for chicken in a sao and rice, keeping with the Philippines traditions. And the last one we had 2 meals with drinks. I usually have 2 beers, and Bernadette has a mango shake. £10.88. Petrol over here. I've got an Isuzu 2.5 litre diesel, and I pay about 55 pesos per litre, which is 70 pence. So it cost me about £26 to fill the tank, and we can go a couple hundred kilometers on that. Bear in mind it's up and down mountains and stuff over here, so and I tend to drive as quick as possible, but you can't in that thing. 2.2 tons it weighs, so just dragging its backside up those mountains uses a bit of petrol, or diesel should I say. Diesel's 51 pesos a litre, 65 pence. Petrol is 70 pence. And to give you an idea of my running of the house, the water bill per month, this is £10.24 was the last one. The electric is the big thing because we've got air conditioning on 24/7 basically, and that was £64 a month. But that's running the TV, my laptop, fridge, freezer. I got a water chiller, as you can see back there, that's always on. I stick it on because we had a cheap kettle, but that burnt out within 2 months, I think. And I made myself a couple of cups of coffee during the day. And we've got Netflix and a Digibox all in a package with internet. I took that on 2 months ago with 400 mega blocks per second download and basically virtually the same upload. So, and that was £23 a month, the internet. So that's 64, £10 something, £23 a month. So my monthly outgoings is £100, and I've rounded it up. And that's not including food and drinks. But we can go over one of the pool places that we frequent. We can have pizza, chicken curry, pie, and one or two kind of like Philippine dishes like chicken in a sour rice, lumpia, which is like spring rolls and stuff, and quite a few drinks, quite a few beers if we spend a night there. Bernadette has mango shakes or pineapple or whatever, and it costs us for a night out 1,200 pesos, which I don't know, was it? What did I say? 2 meals? That'd be just under 1,000. Is £10 something. I think 1,000 pesos is about £13. So, and I used to like a drink. I'm cutting down now, but I bought a bottle of vodka, 750 milliliter bottle of vodka about a month ago, and that cost me. You'd never believe this. It's an alcoholic's paradise. 750 milliliters of vodka, which is 214 pesos, £2.74. £2.74. And when I first got here, I like dark rum and coke. So I bought myself one of these 325 milliliter bottles of Tanduay, which is their local dark rum. And for that bottle, you'd never believe the price. God, it nearly broke the bank, it did. 83 pence. 83 pence. So, living over here, the food is probably the most expensive outgoing we've got now because I've bought the house. We've got no, we go out 2-3 times a week. And in the last 5 years in Taunton, Somerset, we used to have a Chinese every couple of weeks, and that was what we did. Otherwise, just cook at home because we couldn't afford to go out. I lived with my brother for a while before I came over here, and I think he realised that I was short of money towards the last year. My mortgage went up £750 in a month. It's up £750 a month when the interest rates went up because I was on a interest-only mortgage due to the divorce years previous. I couldn't afford to take out a mortgage for the amount that I originally borrowed when I was working in Formula One. So this is one of the reasons why I'm over in the Philippines. The main reason is I wanted to be with Bernadette, and I really, really thought it'd be easy to bring her back for a visit. We don't want to live. She doesn't want to live in a cold country. I'd take her up to Tops, which is a restaurant up in the mountains. Beautiful place. I've done a few aerial shots and videos on it, and it's 24, 25 degrees up there, and she's moaning it's cold. So I looked at the temperature in the UK this morning. In Italy, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning or something, but it was 6 degrees. And she really wanted to see snow. She's never seen snow, or frost or hail. And she wanted to meet my family. And I must admit, I miss my family. It's a bit difficult. Me and Bernadette get on really, really well, and I just work on my house, or we go somewhere. Everything is good, but she doesn't understand my language, all of it. She gets misunderstood. She misunderstands some of the things I say. Causes a bit of friction sometimes, but we're great together. But I just want to let her meet my dad, and my brothers, and my sister, and my kids, and grandkids. I don't know. People say I look good for my age. I'm months away from 66. And the British government, they're calling us liars, basically. We've got a house and she's got no reason to come back. It's sickening. Sickening what the government are doing to the British people now, anyway. I saw riots in Ireland, and I don't incite violence and all this crap that you got to say nowadays. But something's got to be done. Something's got to be done. They do not listen. That Jess Phillips, about the rape gangs and stuff like that. They need somebody to kick their backsides. I don't know whether I can say stuff. You hear people being arrested for tweets on Facebook, and I don't really go on Facebook anymore. I got the YouTube channel, but would they come after me in the Philippines? Because I presume it's pretty easy to find out where people live nowadays. I've got a vehicle registered in my name, bike registered in my name, the house is in Bernadette's name. But I just absolutely fed up. It's over £800 I've wasted, and that could last a month over here, easy. And I don't know what to do. So I'm going to try and do the Shenzhen visa tonight. I know there's people do get over to the UK. I worked with a guy who had his girlfriend or wife working at Musgrove Park Hospital, and she got him over on a spouse visa. But I don't want to be there. I want to visit 1-2 months and then come back to my own home in the Philippines. Over here the people are chilled, You get their scams and stuff like that, but mostly people are really nice. I get called sir. People are looking at me and Bernadette because we're a couple. And she's got a foreigner boyfriend or foreigner husband now. And it's nice. I like being over here. But I couldn't have faced working anymore. The company I was with, I was conned, basically. Went there as a machinist. I thought I'd go from the office back to the machines just to finish off my career the last couple of years. And they says, oh no, you're too qualified. So okay, come back next week and we'll interview you as like a programmer, a problem solver and things. And when I got there, I says, I'll go on the machines and learn the specifications of them, and so I know what I'm talking about when I problem solve and things like that. And you got to know the specs of your machines and the capabilities, but you can't program them to the best that you can. But I was left on there, and then work started getting a bit short in the department I was, and I got put into this other unit, just slave drivers. I went on to a 12-hour shift, and basically I had to load a component, take it off, check it, pack it, while the other component was running. It was like 2.5 minutes, and you're doing like 4 steps. So you're on your feet, there was no chairs, you're on your feet for nearly 12 hours. You had 20 minutes lunch break and 2 10-minute tea breaks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. My back was in pain most of the time, and my hands, sometimes I couldn't hardly pick up the things I was supposed to be machining. And I'm a worker. I pumped out a lot of work. I even got congratulated once by one of the guys. He was a nice guy, but it was legalized slavery. But there you go. I just wanted to moan. And I hope you lot, I didn't want to get political, but come on, Nigel Farage. Because the amount of money that they're spending on foreigners, and they don't even know who they are. It's wrong. And for me to work all my life, 47 years working in engineering, plus about another 5 years on the farm with my dad when I was a kid. We was working when we were from about 10, 11. And I feel that my country has taken my taxes and my national insurance and said, bugger off, basically. So, legal or not, I'm going to try, because I'm not coming back to the UK without my wife. She's my wife. Right, that'll do. I'll try and think of a catchy thumbnail. I'm getting into AI now, and my oldest son ought to get into that seriously. I can do something that he used to be doing, taking him about a couple of days. I can do it in 5 minutes now. It's incredible, but you do have to pay for it. There's a few free attempts, but you have to pay for it, which I'm going to in the end. But when I have finished this house, I want to be able to do something creative. I used to be a very creative person when I was younger. I used to do airbrushing on cars and motorbikes and things. I used to draw. But having a family, kids, job. First day at my first job, I did 2 hours overtime. So you can see what kind of guy I was. I worked. Oh, kids want something, you work. But that's it. You know, I'm determined to enjoy the rest of my life, and if I have to give my kids a load of money before I die to come over and see us and enjoy this part of the country, then I will, I think. But first I'm going to attempt to see them and tick off one of the bucket lists for Bernadette of experiencing snow. Anyway, I hope I'm not too quiet, because I am wary that Bernadette is watching the TV and I keep looking at the middle of the screen, which you can't. You got to look at the little dot. So it's Stephen Bernadette channel signing off. Have a good day, people.